In this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, the progenitor of all chakra, Kaguya Otsutsuki, has finally returned, and she's trying to claim all of her lost chakra, which has now been reincarnated into her two sons, Indra and Ashura, otherwise known as Naruto and Sasuke. You guys better enjoy this canon material while it lasts, because as soon as this episode is done and you look at the preview for next week's episode, you are going to learn that another filler arc is about to start. However, this is a filler, which I think is actually going to be a good thing. It's going to be expanding on the character of Kaguya Otsutsuki, how she came in contact with the ninja world, and how she effectively molded it into her very own shape. But this week's episode right here was definitely a step in the right direction. An episode which adapted the entire manga chapter in which it was based on. And it was really damned exciting, and frankly, kind of creepy. Kaguya Otsutsuki is one of the most horrifying beings that I've ever seen from the Naruto series, and they managed to make her creepy in a number of really cool ways. But before we get to that, let's talk about that brand new opening, which was in this week's episode, which everybody is claiming that it's going to be the final opening of the series. I say no. I say this is actually going to be a penultimate opening, essentially. We're going to get another one right after this, and for those who read the manga, you know exactly what I am talking about, because this intro right here is really exciting in a sense that it mostly focuses on Kaguya and the main characters of Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Sakura fighting, but there really is one major event at the end of the series which they don't even touch upon in the opening, so that's what leads me to believe that we'll get something else. That being said, the intro is pretty damned awesome. It has got some really great imagery to it, and some awesome fighting choreography. Some fighting choreography that is so cool that I really hope they take a page from this and include some of this stuff in the actual fighting scenes we see in the episodes. Because as it stands, this episode does look really good, but it looks nowhere near as good as the actual intro of this week's episode, which the song is called Blood Circulator, and it's done by a band called Asian Kung Fu Generation. These guys have actually worked on the Naruto series before, so it will sound familiar, and I am going to have to hear the song a couple more times to actually sort of appreciate it, but I can say that I really do love the actual imagery. In the opening, you get to see Kaguya Otsutsuki is literally transforming into this massive tree, and all of these black Zetsu-like clones, which take the form of classic characters from the series, start to fall down, and they start to fight against Naruto, Sasuke, Kakashi, and Sakura. What is slightly disappointing is that Naruto, for the most part, is just sort of like drowning in this darkness for most of the opening, with Sasuke and Sakura and Kakashi getting most of the screen time, until eventually Naruto's power finally erupts. He joins his friends in their final battle against Kaguya Otsutsuki. What I will say is just the intro is really blood-pumping. It looks really damned awesome. All that fighting choreography, especially from Sasuke in particular, looks great. The way he uses his sword. Hell, even Sakura looks all sorts of badass in this intro. I really hope they're going to be able to make the animation look just like this as we get to some more of the later parts of the fight. But let's get to the episode now, which is all about Kaguya Otsutsuki. The first half of the episode is basically a recap of the end of last week's episode, although we do get some new scenes with all of the chakra being absorbed into the tree and going into the weird bloated body of Madara Uchiha. Naruto and Sasuke get captured, and that's when Kaguya finally arrives, who essentially just tosses Naruto and Sasuke around like a couple of ragdolls, which the scene is great because it has a lot of impact behind it. You can really feel the pain that Naruto and Sasuke are feeling. Hell, there's even this one added scene where Kaguya tries to attack Sasuke with her hair, and he actually manages to break through that with his Raikiri technique, but eventually the attack does dissipate and he ends up getting knocked back again. Now, this scene that comes right after that is when they firmly establish how creepy and how fast Kaguya is. There's basically a reaction shot from Kakashi and Sakura when they see Naruto and Sasuke get knocked back. And then suddenly, just out of nowhere, Sakura just feels this amazing chill going down her spine, and Kaguya just slowly starts to appear right next to her, completely ignoring her. Sakura is not a problem for Kaguya. That's like a freaking ant to her, and it's very, very disturbing. And that's when Kaguya claims that they are no longer going to fight in this location. This is when she activates one of her biggest abilities, which is being able to summon an entirely different separate dimension, and she sends all of them to the inside of this exploding volcano, which immediately, of course, Kakashi and Sakura are screwed because they don't have any sort of flying abilities, they don't have a summon that can help them, but Kakashi, being the badass ninja that he is, decides to take a scroll and a kunai, throws it up into the ceiling, turns it into a rope, saving the day. You have Sasuke, who manages to actually summon his giant hawk, and then you have Naruto, who doesn't really know what he's doing quite yet, but he actually starts to learn how to fly and levitate in this episode, which is really cool because there's only been so many characters in the series who've actually had that ability. The only ones I can really think of are Inoki, and of course Madara and Obito themselves when they actually absorbed the Ten Tails. So it makes sense now that Naruto has this sage power that he is actually going to be able to just sort of float around in the air, and this gives him an opportunity to save all of his friends multiple times with his chakra arms thanks to the power of Kurama. However, this is not going to stop Kaguya in her tracks. In fact, she has a lot of other big hidden abilities she hasn't even revealed yet, and I think my favorite scene from this episode, without a doubt, is when Naruto and Sasuke are trying to escape from her, when suddenly she's able to open up this portal which can teleport herself right behind Naruto and Sasuke. And this scene is like something out of a freaking horror film. It is so damn scary how she just gets right up in Naruto and Sasuke's face. She embraces them a little bit, even crying while she does it because she's reminded of her sons. However, this ability is so strong that as soon as she actually touches Naruto and Sasuke, they can't even move. She even manages to summon Black Zetsu, who starts to take over the bodies of Naruto and Sasuke. And this is when we finally start to get a little more backstory about Kaguya right here. It's very strange and conflicting how she's crying and attacking all at the same time, but this is all for the claiming of her very own chakra, which she's incredibly obsessed with, and even Black Zetsu himself claims to be the son of Kaguya. Obviously, not in a literal sense, he's actually a creation of Kaguya, but seems to be the only ally that she truly has and the only one that she will work with. Now, this is pretty much the end of the episode right here, but damned was it an incredibly satisfying one. I especially love the fact that Naruto and Sasuke have no problems with wanting to team up with one another, using their sealing techniques to actually go up against Kaguya. Hell, when I was watching this, I was immediately reminded of that classic line from Ghostbusters, which was delivered by Bill Murray, which is, "We're gonna show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown." So what's the rundown of this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? This is what I have been waiting for. Some canon material without any filler, adapting the entire manga storyline without any of the bullshit, and managing to do things in the anime version which look a lot more visually appealing than what we actually see in the manga version. Now, despite the fact that this week's episode did have some great animation, some good impact, and some really great character artwork, it wasn't a perfect episode. If there's one thing that I would change, it would be the speed of certain attacks, in particular those of Kaguya. I just always imagined her as being just way faster, way quicker, and instead she almost comes across as this otherworldly, ghostly creature, which in a sense is really fast, but very different from some of the typical speed that we have actually seen from the series. That being said, she looked really awesome in this episode, and just like in the manga version, she's very mysterious because she has very little dialogue. She only says something when it's really important, and a lot of the time it just pertains to the fact that she wants to get her chakra back. And that's why I believe that the next episode of Naruto Shippuden is going to be really important, and an episode that manga fans and anime fans most definitely should check out, because it's going to expand on her backstory. The preview for next week's episode is showing scenes which were never shown in the manga whatsoever, and one of the biggest complaints about Kaguya Otsutsuki from the manga fans is that they never really expanded on her at all. We never really got to learn where she come from, like how her beginnings were, how she actually arrived at the planet and everything. No, we're actually going to learn in the next episode, and this is something that I am really looking forward to. I don't know how long the filler is going to go on for. That's the thing. They have said that it might only be a couple of episodes. Supposedly, it's only going to be a two-parter all about the backstory of Kaguya Otsutsuki. All I know is I welcome this. This is something that I really wanted to see. Hell, if you guys actually go back and watch the reviews that both Christian and I did for the Naruto manga series, we even comment multiple times that when they get to this part in the anime, we would like to actually see some filler based on the backstory of Kaguya, and it looks like we are finally going to get that, and you know what? that's pretty damn awesome. Superficially speaking, though, that this was just a really fun episode to watch. There were a lot of really great atmospheric moments, and like I said, Kaguya manages to be both extremely powerful and very just beautiful at the same time, like almost ghostly-like. It's kind of strange, and yet she always manages to flip the switch and immediately be horrifying all at the same time. Like I said, my favorite scene was when she was traveling through those portals. It just looked so damn awesome, and you could really feel the fear from Naruto and Sasuke when they were slowly turning around and realizing that there was absolutely nothing they could do in that situation. I also really like the look of the black Zetsu, which are actually coming out of her arms and sort of like stretching out and taking over Naruto and Sasuke's body. And it still blows my mind that, like, Zetsu is this important at the end of the day. It's something that I've always really sort of hoped for, because when they introduced Zetsu for the very first time at the end of the very first part of the series before the time skip, when Naruto and Sasuke had their fight and, you know, he just sort of came up out of the ground like a Venus flytrap, I was always like, there's just something about that guy, and I always wanted him to be really important, and Black Zetsu, in a way, next to Kaguya, is kind of the final villain of the series, and I think that's really damn awesome. And you'll get to learn after this Kaguya arc how sort of Black Zetsu has sort of manipulated a lot of the events in the series, and how being the will of Kaguya has allowed him to eventually bring about her revival, which is crazy because, you know, this whole, like, God tree thing doesn't even need to be a full tree in order for her to be revived. It's really just this giant mechanism to suck up chakra, which looked really cool at the beginning of this week's episode. Some other scenes in this episode that were kind of cool, just getting to see the Kage hanging out and trying to figure out what they're going to do, trying to figure out where this giant mass of chakra is coming from. They're not really going to be all that helpful, but it is a good reminder that they are still there and that nothing is going to happen to them and they're not going to succumb to the infinite Tsukiyomi techniques. So this was a great episode of Naruto Shippuden, to be perfectly honest. Not a perfect episode, there were some animation and artwork moments which could have looked better, but for the most part, after waiting like over a year for some real solid material from the series, this was a pretty satisfying episode of Shippuden, which any Naruto fan should definitely check out, and don't discontinue it because there's going to be a filler arc in the next episode. I assure you, it looks like an episode that is really going to expand on the character of Kaguya, and it's something that is necessary, because if we want to care about this villain who's just been introduced, this is a story that we're going to have. I really hope eventually when they get to the final portions of the Battle of Kaguya, though, that they really up the animation a lot. Like, I want to see one of those episodes that straight up looks like a movie. An episode that's going to blow me away. I'm talking like Kakashi versus Obito, Killer Bee versus Sasuke, freaking the very first time Naruto and Sasuke fought. I want something on that caliber to be handled with Kaguya, and I'm really hoping they're going to get there. I'm more interested to see, though, how they're actually going to wrap up this season, because in the manga version, the battle with Kaguya is not really all that long, and they could expand a lot to this battle if they really wanted to, and I imagine they're going to pad it out a little bit more with some of the backstory about Kaguya, but right after that, we have another really big final event in the series to get to, and that itself is also not that long, so I can't wait to see how they're going to stretch out the rest of the Naruto Shippuden story. I would guess it's probably going to go to October. That being said, this was a great episode. Check it out, Naruto fans. I'm going to give this one right here a 4 out of 5. A super solid episode of Naruto Shippuden, which does have some flaws, but it's very watchable. It's got a brand new opening, which is all sorts of kick-ass, even though I don't really care for the song, so it's just a good time to be a Naruto fan. So 4 out of 5 from me. Check it out, guys. But if any of you watched this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below? Are you a fan of the brand new opening from Asian Kung Fu Generation? Did you like the song? What about the imagery? Did you have a favorite scene from that opening? What did you think about finally getting to see Kaguya Otsutsuki's powers, being able to control her hair, summon dimensions, and basically just mess up all sorts of shit? And what are you excited to see from the brand new Kaguya filler backstory and the rest of the Naruto Shippuden anime series? Please tell me in the comments section below. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. If you guys would like to help support the channel, make sure to share this video review with all of your friends, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all of our latest anime and manga reviews as they are released. You guys can also follow us on social media. You'll be able to check all that stuff out in the description box below. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!